Thank you, Handel, and welcome to tonight's edition of the Regional News. We start off with some news in Barbados, where the Minister of Tourism, Kerry Simmons, has said that the Grantley Adams International Airport remains closed to commercial traffic until June 30. However, there is no guarantee airlines will resume flying to Barbados at that time. The minister said safety is critical in determining when flights will be allowed to resume, and the decision will be data-driven. He said, too, that protocols would have to be implemented before travel can resume. A statement issued through Barbados Government Information Service said Simmons was speaking during his promised bi-monthly media briefing on the tourism sector via a Zoom press conference. Commercial traffic into the island came to a halt from mid-March this year as a result of the novel coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic. However, the minister said safety was a priority for Barbados, and any decision taken to reopen the sector will not be date-driven, but rather data-driven. Simmons said regional protocols were also being examined. These include possibly implementing a COVID-19 rapid test, which could be conducted on departure from the source market on arrival to Barbados, or at both points if cost allows. The minister said temperature testing and prior knowledge of travel history would be required. Protocols were also needed for the appropriate levels of quarantine space for people who may eventually test positive. According to the statement, Simmons said domestic protocols also needed to be settled because while there was a common understanding at the regional level, each country would have to implement standards. We now turn our attention to neighboring Brazil. The country's coronavirus outbreak worsened on Wednesday, and the South American nation could soon have the second highest number of cases in the world, as the health ministry reported 888 new deaths and nearly 20,000 new infections in a single day. Brazil might soon trail only the United States in the number of coronavirus cases. Russia currently has the second highest number of cases. Brazil's coronavirus death toll is 18,859. Brazil's confirmed case tally now stands at 291,579, according to the health ministry on Monday. Brazil overtook Britain to become the country with the third highest number of infections and registered a daily record of 1,179 deaths on Tuesday. President Jair Bolsonaro has been widely criticized for his handling of the outbreak. The far-right former army captain has long snubbed social distancing measures, arguing instead for the reopening of the economy. He has also become an increasingly strong advocate for the malaria drug chloroquine as a possible remedy for COVID-19, despite warnings from health experts. On Wednesday, the health ministry issued new guidelines for wider use of anti-malarial drugs in mild coronavirus cases. Interim Health Minister Eduardo Pizarro, an active duty Army general, authorized the modified protocol after two trained doctors left the ministry's top job under pressure to promote the early use of the drugs. And I quote, "We are at war. Worse than defeat would be the shame of not putting up a fight," end of quote. Bolsonaro tweeted about the government's decision to put forward the drugs without proof of their effectiveness. And finally, in Jamaica, airline and cruise ship visitors to the island may be required to present medical certificates of a negative COVID-19 test in order to enter the island when the country opens its border for tourism. The medical certificate, which should be no older than 76 hours, is among a number of proposed protocols now on the table for implementation. All airline passengers departing Jamaica should also be tested prior to boarding and their temperature checked by the terminal scanners. If their temperatures are above normal, they will be denied boarding. Pressed on tourists' risk of contracting the coronavirus disease in transit between airports, Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton was coy. But Chief Medical Officer Dr. Jacqueline McKenzie sought to poo-poo the quality of testing regimes in some countries, emphasizing that many of those evaluations were being called by subpar rapid kits. Many of the island's tourism workers are being trained to deliver under new standards, while the 2 international airports are to get electronic gates valued at $300 million. The gates will be used by the Passport, Immigration and Citizenship Agency. And that's it for our regional news this evening, and I continue to urge our viewers to continue practicing social distancing, wear those masks, use those hand sanitizers, and stay at home. Back to you, Handel.